To me, before, Christianity was more of just a theological thing where you're trying to look into Scripture to learn how to defend yourself against other non-believers and make a strong argument. But then the shift focused to actual relationship with the Lord and how much grace that He has over us, and viewing the Bible not as something to learn defenses for, but instead His active word that He's speaking through to us to guide us. When I was growing up, I was a pretty happy-go-lucky kid, and I went to a Christian school from preschool through high school. I did have it when I was fairly young, though, that I was sexually abused. Through my classes at school, teachers started to introduce the concept of hell a little earlier than I feel was necessary, and through that, there's just a lot of fear that came forth of punishment, because I knew that there was something wrong with the abuse, and since I still went along with it, I felt like I was actively participating and just as guilty. I just accepted that I was going to go to hell for that time frame, and that God just didn't want anything to do with me. One thing as I did get into teenage years that I felt like I still was kept in innocence about was I did always have a hopeless romantic heart. Met somebody that ended up being like one of my best friends, and we did quite a few things together, and we just did everything together. But it was one of those things where the feeling wasn't the same as far as a romantic relationship. In that process, I actually ended up sort of being a jerk and not respecting her boundaries, and it actually ended up costing us our friendship for many years afterwards. So at that point, I kind of hit a low as far as just a bitterness and a separation from the Lord. And from the world standpoint, I had some success. If I went to college and I graduated, and I tried to stay as busy as possible, either with friends or with concerts in Iowa City or with video games. But at that point, there was just, whenever there was a break in time, there was just an emptiness inside of me that couldn't get filled by any of those things. I realized I was still holding on to a lot of bitterness with the relational things that hadn't worked out, and I had to just sit and have a real honest prayer with the Lord. I think you're actually the answer for bringing me the most joy in my life. So I surrender that over to you, and can you help me put you at number one? And at that moment, it just felt like an anchor was lifted off of my heart. And I just felt a lot of joy and freedom in that moment. Going forward, I just felt a lot of peace over myself, like He was with me. I didn't worry about whether He heard my prayer. I felt like He was actively making Himself number one, and that He was like a loving Father. I mean, I would call up friends, and they could tell a difference in my voice and my attitude after that. I came to realize how personal God is in His pursuit of us. He wants to run towards us and actively pursue us daily, and He's a lot more faithful than we are to Him most of the time. Emphasis moments.
I'm kidding, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
okay. Oh.